Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to the channel. This Saturday is UFC Fight Night Orlando, and in the main event, we have Stephen Wonderboy Thompson versus Kevin Holland, and this is going to be my full breakdown and prediction of this welterweight matchup. And UFC Fight Night Orlando is a very good fight night card, especially when you compare it to some of these UFC Apex cards over the last few years. This is an amazing fight night card, and I've already done a couple UFC Orlando prediction videos. I will link them all down in the description if you want to go check them out after this one. But this is a very fan-friendly, stylistic matchup. There's no doubt that this is going to be an exciting fight, and it's primarily going to be a striking battle between Wonderboy Thompson and Kevin Holland. And I'm not going to spend too much time on this because I don't want to be too negative, but I don't like this as a main event, to be honest. For me, I favor relevance to the division over all else. And for me, I understand that Wonderboy Thompson is ranked in the top 10, but he is holding that top 10 ranking hostage. If you've wrestled in middle school, Wonderboy Thompson is turning down that fight. And for me, at an advanced age, Wonderboy Thompson really has no future at the top of the welterweight division, which he's basically admitted himself by refusing to fight some up-and-coming contenders. And then you have Kevin Holland, who I understand he's moved down to welterweight and he's had a little bit of success. And then, he fought Khamzat Chimaev on 24 hours notice and got mauled, so it's not really his fault. But he's basically being gifted a top 10 opponent by the UFC for saving them at UFC 279. Khamzat Chimaev misses weight. And then you have Nate Diaz refusing to fight him. And Kevin Holland says, okay, I'll fight Khamzat Chimaev. They shuffle around the entire card. Khamzat goes out there, mauls Kevin Holland, and then jokes about retirement afterwards, which I told you guys from the very get-go that was a fake retirement. Then gets this fight announced. It's because the UFC appreciated Kevin Holland doing them a favor. So they're like, all right, look, we're going to find you somebody in the top 10 of the division that is a stylistic, fan-friendly matchup and isn't going to try to take you down, and you could potentially earn a top 10 ranking. So for me, whether it be Wonderboy Thompson or Kevin Holland, I don't think they have a future in the division, because you look at the top 5 of this division, you even look at some of the up-and-coming guys like Shavkat Rakhmonov and Sean Brady. I know he just lost to Bilal Muhammad. I just don't see a future for two guys who cannot stuff a takedown to save their life. So it kind of puts me down in this fight a little bit. Let me know down in the comments. Do you agree with me? Do you think I'm absolutely crazy? I would love to know what you think. But nonetheless, this is an exciting fight, a relatively exciting fight. It's primarily going to be striking. For Wonderboy, I don't want to say it's a must win, but it's damn near close. I mean, he's fighting an unranked opponent while he's ranked in the top 10. And he's getting a stylistic matchup that he wants. He's saying, look, I'm not fighting any grapplers anymore. They give him Kevin Holland, who they know Kevin Holland is not going to go out there and shoot a takedown on him. So if Wonderboy can't win this fight at 40 years old, it's basically time to go to PFL, go to Bellator, go to wherever else, and make a career over there. And for Kevin Holland, this is his chance to break into the top 10 of the UFC welterweight division against an opponent that is not going to take him down. And I get it, Kevin Holland's still young. He can still improve his wrestling. He's been working on it for the last couple of years. But if he gets a win here, I don't know who he's going to fight after this. There's so many good grapplers in the welterweight division. But nonetheless, this would be a massive name on his resume. It would, probably be a bigger name than Jacare Souza, who he knocked out back in 2020. So it's a very important fight for both guys. If you look at the tail of the tape, Wonderboy Thompson is 16-6-1. Kevin Holland is 23-8. Thompson is ranked number 6 in the UFC official rankings. Kevin Holland is not ranked. Wonderboy Thompson is 39. Holland is 30. Thompson is 6 foot. Holland is 6'3". Thompson has a 75-inch reach and Holland has an 81-inch reach. So a 3-inch height advantage and a 6-inch reach advantage for Kevin Holland. You look at Kevin Holland's pro MMA resume, 23 wins, 13 by knockout, 6 by submission, and 4 by decision. Of his 8 losses, he's never been TKO'd or KO'd. He has 3 losses by submission and 5 by decision. He comes into this fight on a 1-fight losing streak. He fought Khamzat Chimaev on 24 hours notice at UFC 279, got immediately taken down, and then eventually Darce choked by Khamzat Chimaev. But I don't know how much you can really take away from this fight, because Khamzat Chimaev is such an elite grappler. And not only did Kevin Holland, I think a lot of people forget this fact, not only did Kevin Holland take this fight on 24 hours notice, he took his original fight against Daniel Rodriguez on 3 weeks notice. So he wasn't even having a full camp for Daniel Rodriguez. And then he gets thrown in 24 hours notice against Khamzat Chimaev. So, I don't really know how much you can take away from that. He got absolutely brutally mauled, but it is what it is. The fight before that, he fought Tim Means. This was a relatively competitive fight. Holland landed a lot of nasty elbows in this fight. Eventually hurts Tim Means in the second round and then submits him via Darce choke. The fight before that, I believe, was his welterweight debut against Alex Cowboy Oliveira. Hurts him and then finishes him off in the second round. This was kind of a competitive fight, but Holland looking very good on the feet. And then the fight before that was his last fight at middleweight against Kyle Daukaus. Kevin Holland was actually basically submitted in this fight, but he was basically KO'd before that. There was a clash of heads that kind of KO'd Kevin Holland. Then it led to the submission immediately afterwards. And then they end up overturning it, and it is now a no contest. The fight before that, he fought Marvin Vettori on short notice. Got absolutely mauled by Marvin Vettori. Took him down, repeatedly controlled on the ground. Fight before that against Derek Brunson, same story. Taken down, repeatedly held down and controlled. And then before that is when he went on his 5-fight win streak. All in the 2020 calendar year. He beat Anthony Hernandez by TKO. He beat Joaquin Buckley by TKO, which was a crazy back and forth fight. Joaquin Buckley showed me that he had some decent skills in that fight. He beat Darian Stewart by split decision. He beat Charlie Ontiveros where he took him down and Ontiveros was injured. I think it was a rib injury and he verbally tapped. And his most impressive performance to date, in my opinion, is against Jacare Souza. He was taken down. Jacare was in the full guard and somehow off his back, Kevin Holland brutally KO'd Jacare Souza. It was one of the most brutal KOs I've ever seen, and that was a great year for him. But since then, he's only won 2 out of 6 fights, and I know one of them was a no contest, but all these fights, he's just gotten dominated in. So that's just something to keep mind of. You look at Wonderboy Thompson. Of his pro MMA record, 16 wins, 7 by knockout, 1 by submission, 8 by decision. Of his 6 losses, 1 by knockout, 0 by submission, and 5 by decision. So Wonderboy's only ever been KO'd that one time by Anthony Pettis. He's coming into this fight. He's lost 4 out of his last 6. And his last fight was against Bilal Muhammad. I actually picked Wonderboy in this fight. He got out-grappled by Bilal Muhammad. But that hasn't aged terribly. Bilal Muhammad has looked very good. But just Wonderboy can't stuff a takedown. He can't get off the fence. Bilal Muhammad was able to take him down, beat him up, get some control time, and win via decision. Fight before that against Gilbert Burns back at UFC 264. Similar scenario. Basically just got taken down, controlled, beat up, and wasn't able to do anything, wasn't able to get off the cage, wasn't able to get up off the ground, and same story in those last 2 fights. The fight before that and his last win was against Jeff Neal back in December of 2020. Actually, an opponent in common, Kevin Holland, fought Jeff Neal way back when, I believe back in 2016 or 2017. Went out there against Jeff Neal. I think I might have actually picked Jeff Neal in this fight. I can't remember for sure. But Jeff Neal, I was very high on at this point in time. Wonderboy just went out there and put on a striking clinic, outstruck him for the majority of the fight, wins via decision. The fight before that, I was actually there live at UFC 244 against Vicente Luque, and it was competitive first round, but after that first round, Wonderboy Thompson just took over and was just lighting Vicente Luque up on the feet, busting him up, countering very well, and it was a great performance by him and probably one of his best performances. Before that, he got KO'd by Anthony Pettis. I mean, Anthony Pettis just clips him with a weird strike. I think he threw a Superman punch, put him out cold. Fight before that, he lost to Darren Till. But in this fight, most people had Wonderboy Thompson winning this fight, and he was basically robbed against Darren Till. And then you're getting back to wins against Jorge Masvidal, title fights against Tyron Woodley, but you're getting all the way back into 2018, 2017. How relevant are those fights today? So when I look at this fight, I think what's so interesting about this fight is a few years ago, I would have undoubtedly picked Wonderboy Thompson. He is an elite level striker. He's one of the best strikers in the UFC. And Kevin Holland, while he's a very good striker, it's just I don't think he's on the level of the striking ability of Wonderboy Thompson. And, when I take that into account and then I think, okay, well, I doubt Kevin Holland's going to shoot for a takedown. And Wonderboy Thompson's looked bad because he's had to worry about the takedowns in his last few fights. I say, okay, well, then Wonderboy's definitely going to win. But then you start looking at some of those X factors. Wonderboy's almost 40 years old. Wonderboy's on a losing streak. Wonderboy's confidence is in the toilet. He's turning down fights left and right, looking for a stylistically winnable matchup. So I start looking into all those variables, and I'm like, you know what? Kevin Holland may very well win this fight. And when I really look at this fight, I really see 2 different wins or 2 different paths to victory for each guy. I think if Wonderboy Thompson wins this fight, he wins via decision, just kind of, boxing up Kevin Holland as he moves forward, countering well, side kicks to the body, leg kicks. And for Kevin Holland, he's kind of got a funky style. He's got a 6-inch reach advantage. He's got a 3-inch height advantage. And I think Kevin Holland wins this fight by just, Wonderboy kind of tapping away, landing some good shots. Kevin Holland lands a big right hand, hurts Wonderboy Thompson, and then finishes him off. But for me, it's all about the X factor of Wonderboy being so old, being on a losing streak, kind of regressing. And at this point, I'm just waiting for him to fall off a cliff. And, my early prediction for this fight when it was originally announced, I thought, okay, I got Wonderboy Thompson. He's the better striker. But then the more and more I started to think about it, I'm like, you know what? Wonderboy Thompson's getting up there in age. He's slowing down. He's, kind of falling off a cliff at this point. He's kind of on the downhill slope. And I'm like, you know what? Kevin Holland's probably going to knock him out. But then I started watching some tape as well. And I'm like, you know what? When Wonderboy's not fighting a guy that he thinks is going to take him down, he looks so good on the feet. And I promised myself after Frankie Edgar, I picked Frankie Edgar over Chris Gutierrez. I said, you know what? When I'm looking at a fight, and I think it's a close fight that could go either way, and there's a guy that's older, getting older, kind of on his way out, I am never picking that fighter again. And in that case, this is Wonderboy Thompson. And I was going to go with Kevin Holland, but I kind of changed my mind now, just a few minutes ago. I am going with Stephen Wonderboy Thompson via decision. I just think he's still a better striker. I think a Wonderboy Thompson that doesn't have to worry about the takedown. I think his striking is far superior than Kevin Holland's, and I think he'll be using side kicks to the body. I think he'll be pumping the jab. I think he'll be countering well. And Kevin Holland's striking, while it's good, it's nothing special. It's nothing that's hard to figure out. And I understand, with this pick, Wonderboy Thompson, it's a 5-round fight. It's a 25-minute fight. Wonderboy Thompson has to be perfect for that 25 minutes, not get clipped with a big punch. And Wonderboy Thompson keeps his hands down at his waist. So it is kind of a risky pick, but I just see Wonderboy striking, and I think it's so much better than Kevin Holland's, even though that he's regressed, and even though we haven't seen it in a couple years because he's been fighting grapplers. But I think Wonderboy's going to go in there more motivated than ever, knowing he's fighting an opponent that's not going to take him down. And I think he's going to look really good on the feet. And I think Kevin Holland's going to be, kind of frustrated, trying to come forward, throw crazy shots, throw combinations. And I think you're going to see a Wonderboy that's just stepping off the center line, firing counters down the middle, side kicking to the body to manage the range. There's nobody that's been better at managing the distance than Wonderboy Thompson. And I just think the volume and the counters of Wonderboy Thompson, along with his ability to not be worried about the takedown, so I think he's going to be able to avoid the strikes of Kevin Holland, because when he's been hitting his past few fights, it's because he's worried about the takedowns of his opponent, and he's more focused on that than the striking, and he's getting clipped by lesser strikers. In this Kevin Holland fight, I don't think you're going to have to worry about that, because Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, even if Kevin Holland were to look for takedowns, Wonderboy Thompson has very good takedown defense against guys who are not elite grapplers. And I know Kevin Holland's been working on his wrestling, but he's gotten taken down by Tin Means. He got taken down by Alex Cowboy Oliveira, I believe, as well. And I just believe that his grappling is nowhere near on the level to be able to cause any problems for Wonderboy Thompson, even if he decides to mix it in the later rounds as he's getting outpointed by Wonderboy Thompson. Because I think in the maybe third, fourth round, when Kevin Holland realizes he's down, he may start looking to control Wonderboy against the fence. He may start looking for takedowns. And I think Kevin Holland does have a bit of a size advantage considering he's coming down from middleweight, but he was never a massive middleweight. So I don't think that size advantage is going to help him. I think Wonderboy will be able to stuff some of those shots and get off the fence against Kevin Holland if he does choose that in the later rounds. But I'm going to say Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, maybe 49-46, wins 4 out of 5 rounds, just outstriking Kevin Holland. Maybe there's a point in the fight where Kevin Holland gets a little bit of control time, lands a couple good strikes in the clinch, maybe a big elbow over the top. But I just think Wonderboy Thompson, with his striking, with his distance management, is going to win this fight. But one thing I do want to keep an eye on, Kevin Holland has very good leg kicks, and I could see him starting to chop the legs of Wonderboy Thompson. And if he can limit the mobility of Wonderboy Thompson, he could start to find more success with his hands. And Kevin Holland does have decent power, but he doesn't have like crazy nuclear power. And it's not like Wonderboy's a guy who's been KO'd countless times. He's only ever been KO'd in MMA by Anthony Pettis, and he got caught by a massive shot. So I don't think that's super likely, but we will find out Saturday. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like the video.